folks, HR Funk out here on the range on a dark and stormy day to bring you Chapter 3 with my Remington R51 pistol. Now if you've been following this series, you know I bought this pistol about a month ago, and on my first trip to the range it ran pretty well, but I had a couple of failures to feed with it when I was using Speer 124 grain gold dot ammunition. In the first misfeed, what happened is as the cartridge was moving up the feed ramp, the bullet missed the chamber and actually came almost straight up out of the ejection port, and the tip of the bullet wedged against the top of the barrel hood, stopping the slide's forward movement. Later on that same day, I had another failure with the same ammunition, and that time the feed lips of the magazine completely lost control of that top cartridge, and it was trying to jettison from the ejection port, but the slide came forward and captured it between the forward surface of the slide and the rear of the barrel hood. So it was just suspended there above the chamber and above the magazine. So subsequent to that trip to the range, I contacted Remington's customer service and discussed the problems that I was having with them. Now I should say that the pistol cycled 100 rounds of full metal jacket ammunition that day without any problem, actually a little bit more than 100 rounds. So it wasn't doing too bad, but I did have those problems. And the customer service representative that I spoke to said that some of the magazines, which are provided to Remington by a third-party vendor, did have overpowered magazine springs. And what he suggested is I take the pistol back to the range and continue shooting it and continue cycling ammunition through those magazines to see if that would alleviate the problems. So for about a week after I talked to him, I kept these magazines completely loaded. Now something I did not say in the last video is that I did periodically download those magazines and reload them, because I know keeping a spring under constant load won't cause it to lose tension. It's the cycling of the spring that will cause that to happen, and I was trying to get those springs to relax just a little bit to alleviate those functioning problems. So I went back to the range, and you can see this in my second video, and again was firing the pistol, and I was continuing to have those same type of problems. Now I have to say, when I had those problems, it was always with one round in the chamber and a fully loaded magazine, so the magazine spring was under the most compression it can be under. So after having the problems the second time I went to the range, I again contacted Remington customer service, talked to a different customer service representative, and he promptly sent me 2 brand new magazines. He also said this was a known problem, and he went on to suggest that I keep my original magazines and clip 1 or 2 coils off of the magazine spring to see if that would alleviate the issues that I was having with those magazines. So today I'm going to test first off the new magazines and see how the pistol runs with them. Now I have noticed in loading these magazines, and I've kept these things loaded and I've been cycling through compression and decompression cycles, that when I'm loading these new magazines, it's easier to load that 7th round into the magazine than it was with the original magazines. So hopefully these new magazines are going to run well. If they do, I'm going to start out again with full metal jacket ammunition, and if the new magazines run well with that, I've got several different types of defensive hollow points that I want to run through the pistol. If that goes okay, then the last thing I'm going to do today is a little bit more on the range gunsmithing, and I'm going to clip a coil or 2 off the magazine springs of those original magazines to see if that will solve the problems I was having with them. So I'm going to be going quite a bit today. For those of you who have Remington R51s, if you're experiencing problems, hopefully we'll come up with something today that's going to help solve those problems. Or if you're considering an R51, you'll get an idea of what you might be getting into and ultimately see if we can solve the problems and if this becomes a reliable pistol. Now several of you in the comments on the previous videos have said, you know, send this thing back to Remington, get your money back, all that type of thing, which I may well still do. If I can't solve the problems with this pistol and make it a reliable firearm, then obviously I'm not going to keep it. And I'll have that conversation with Remington depending on how things go today and if I have to come back out another time or 2 after that. But sooner or later I'll get to the point where I'll say enough is enough and it's time to send this back and do something different. But for now, I'm still working with it and I'm going to see if I can make it run. So sit back and relax and we'll see how it goes. And of course, now that I'm ready to start shooting, the rain has started to fall harder. I had a beautiful week all this past week here in Ohio while I was at work, and now that I have time to come to the range and do some shooting, it's raining and there's a chance of thunderstorms. Why does it always go that way? Anyway, I've got the R51 loaded up, 1 round in the chamber, 7 rounds in the magazine. This is one of the new magazines, and this is usually where I see a problem. The ammunition I'm using again is 115 grain Blazer brass ammunition. Let's see how it runs in the rain. Not very well. Very first round out of the new magazine is the same problem that I'm continuing to see over and over and over again. I'm certain once I remove this round, which I'm going to do right now, in fact, if I can get the slide to lock back. There we go. Once I get this cleared, I'm going to load this with just 7 rounds now. If I can figure out a way to juggle everything to do this. And I suspect fully that these 7 rounds, getting slippery with all the rain, hard to get a good grip on the slide, but I suspect these 7 rounds are going to run just fine. I always have the problem on that very first round with a full magazine and a round in the chamber. No problem whatsoever. So again, it's always that very first round. I'm going to switch over to my other new magazine and try that. Then I might have to wait till the rain calms down a little bit before I do some more shooting. And here we go with the second new magazine. I've already got a round in the chamber. Magazine's seated. Let's see how it runs with this one. Again, malfunction with the very first round. It's that same one where the magazine completely lost control of the cartridge and it's captured between the slide and the barrel hood. Okay, the pistol is cleared. Now I just have 1 round in the chamber and 6 rounds in the magazine. Again, I think they're going to run just fine. Let's see. And no problem, I miscounted. But no problem. So it's always, always, always with the new magazines and with the old magazines, when the magazine spring is under full compression, that I have this issue. This again leads me to believe this is a problem with the magazine springs. I think maybe while I'm waiting for the rain to calm down some, I'm going to go ahead and clip the coils on that original, or on those original 2 magazines that I have, and see how they run once we make that modification. Okay folks, these are my original 2 R51 magazines that came with the pistol. I'm going to go ahead and disassemble them. Actually, I think I'll just disassemble one of them to begin with. And I'm going to clip 1 coil off of the magazine springs to see if that will solve the feeding issue. If I'm still having a problem, I might clip a second one. I don't think I'm going to clip any more than 2. Again, this was recommended by the Remington customer service representative that I spoke to. So I'm going to take his advice and see how it works. Magazine disassembly for the R51 magazines is pretty straightforward. Simply depress the plunger on the bottom, slide the base plate forward. Make sure you keep your thumb over the magazine case so everything doesn't come shooting out of there. There is a magazine base plate retainer right there. And the magazine spring itself. Now, one potential issue I see with this modification is if you notice that very bottom coil is basically flattened out so that it fits well onto the magazine base plate retainer. When I clip it, we're going to have a situation where that's now going to be angled where it meets the retainer. Hopefully that's not going to cause us a problem in reassembly, but I'm going to give it a try and see. And here we go. For my surgery, I'm using my Leatherman mutt to clip off that bottom coil. There we go. Bottom coil is off. Let's see if we've accomplished anything. And magazine number 1 is reassembled with our modified spring. I did go back and take just a little bit more off because when I first clipped the spring, the only thing I really took off was this flat coil. So I took about another half a coil off to try to reduce that magazine spring tension a little bit. I didn't think just the flat coil would do much. So at this point, I've removed about a coil and a half. And I'm going to give this a try in just a couple of minutes. Of course, the rain is picking up again. By the way, if you're thinking, wow, this guy's a sissy, he doesn't want to shoot in the rain. No, believe me, I've shot in a lot of inclement weather. The only thing I'm really concerned about is my camera equipment. I'm not sure how weatherproof it is. So what I might end up doing is leaving this camera under the roof and trying to do some shooting where you can see me from outside. Okay, folks, here we go in pretty much a downpour. I'm also going to be doing a little bit of long-range testing because from here, I'm about 30 yards from the target. But I do have my modified magazine in place. I have a round in the chamber and 7 rounds in the magazine. Let's see if we accomplished anything with our on-the-range gunsmithing. No. Again, there's that same malfunction where the magazine has completely lost control of that top cartridge. The rear of the cartridge, you can see, is elevated completely out of the magazine and it's captured by the slide. The bullet is being driven into the top of the chamber or the rear of the barrel hood. So we haven't accomplished a thing. Maybe I'll try one more coil and see if that does anything. And if that doesn't work, I think I'm going to stop. Alright folks, I've taken another coil off that same magazine for my R51. And I now have about 2.5 coils that I've removed, counting that flat coil on the very bottom. So I suppose it's about 1.5 of the actual coils that are compressed when the magazine is loaded. Let's see if it runs any better now. No! Again, that exact same malfunction. So at this point, I'm starting to think it's not, at least not entirely, a spring problem. There is also a problem with these feed lips maintaining control of that cartridge as the pistol is cycling. Okay folks, I thought, what the hell, in for a penny, in for a pound. I took one more coil off the spring just to see if that makes any difference, more out of morbid curiosity than anything else. So let's see how it goes now. And I'm still getting that exact same malfunction. So I have not accomplished a single thing. Folks, I just wanted you to get an idea of how much of that spring I've actually removed from the magazine that I've been working on. The spring on the right, obviously, is the one that I've been clipping coils from. The magazine spring on the left is an unmodified spring. If I'm counting correctly, there are 12 coils in the unmodified spring, and I'm down to 9 coils in the one that I've been clipping. So I've removed fully 25% of that spring, and I'm still getting those functioning issues. Folks, I'm curious to see if my modified magazine will still run okay with only 6 rounds in the magazine and 1 round in the chamber by downloading it by 1 round. Just wondering if it will run okay since I've removed so much of that spring. So let's see. And it does. So, again, I'm not sure what to do with this thing. If I use it as a 7-shot pistol or a 6-shot plus 1 pistol, it seems to run fine no matter what I do to it. If I load that additional round in that Remington advertises it as being functional with, then I get a malfunction almost all the time on that very first round, regardless of which magazine I use or what I do to modify the magazines. At this point, folks, I'm going to discontinue the test because I feel like all I'm really doing is wasting ammunition. What I'm going to do with the R51 is contact Remington and see if I can send the pistol back to them. I am going to give them a chance to fix the pistol, and if it comes back and it runs perfectly, I'll let you folks know. If it comes back and there's still problems with it, I'll let you know that as well. Either way, I don't think I'm going to try to correct it anymore myself. I think I've done as much as I'm willing to do at this point. I've done far more than most firearms owners or firearms purchasers would have done with their own pistol. Part of that is because I took this on as a little bit of a challenge. As a longtime police armorer, I wanted to see if I could fix it, and it doesn't look like I'm going to be able to fix it. The problems are something to do with the design of the magazine, I believe, at this point. So I'll give Remington a chance, see what they can do with it, and if it comes back and I still have problems with it, it's going to be gone. And again, I'll let you folks know. In any regard, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any questions or comments, be sure to leave those below. And as always, until next time, hopefully not in the rain, good shooting. Bye-bye.